Extracts from the book The Wind is My Mother, the life and teachings of a Native American shaman called Bear Heart. The power of love. Why all this fighting? There are two words people use a lot. One is unity and the other is harmony. You can tie a cat's tail and a dog's tail together and drape them over a clothesline. You'll have unity, but you won't have harmony. Harmony is a tolerance, a forgiving, a blending, subtle, soft, but very strong. In order to live in harmony, the common denominator that binds us is loving one another in its truest form. Look at an anthill with many ants going back and forth. Some ants are carrying things down into the anthill, and after they have unloaded their burdens, they go back for more. There are two lines coming and going, a lot of traffic and many ants. Have you ever seen them bump into one another? Have you ever seen an ant stop to fight another ant, with others jumping in? Even though there's a lot of traffic involved, there's a sense of orderliness, a sense of purpose, a sense of doing something together. They're not just wandering around randomly. Just because they're ants, they don't sit around and expect things to come to them. They're working together for their survival. If our minds are supposed to be superior to the ants, then why all this fighting? We talk about war zones and send aid and money to other countries, but the greatest war is in the cities of our own country. We need to study the ant colony and get back to the simple order of life. How is it with us today in our society? Are we too prejudiced? Why is it that if someone belongs to a particular religion or race, he can't help someone who doesn't belong to it? What kind of love do they have? It's very conditional love. Unless you do this, I will not help you. I was in the Rangeley Mountains of Maine soon after the area had a big forest fire. The fire was getting very close to a Baptist church, but a Catholic boy got a hose and saved that church by watering it down. When an earthquake happens, people go beyond racial and belief lines in order to help others. When people help clean up the debris after a flood or a hurricane, they don't stop to say, "What nationality are you? What faith are you?" Everyone pitches in when tragedy strikes. Do we always have to wait for a crisis to be able to truly manifest our love for one another? People talk about unconditional love, but they never talk about non-judgmental support, which goes hand in hand with unconditional love. Those two go together to express real love. I used to go to a church where the choir had to march in from both sides to get into the choir loft. Altos and basses came in one way, sopranos and tenors came in the other way, and they had to pass one another until they filled up the loft. There were two ladies in the choir who were not speaking to each other, even in church, so as they passed by, one would look one way and the other would look the other way. And yet, the first song was, "Oh, How We Love Jesus." If they can't love each other, how can they say they love the one who created them? If someone is unkind or throws verbal daggers at you, that person has a problem. Why make it your problem too? You might not love what a person is doing, but you must love the person. Because if you're going to say you love a higher being, you have to remember he created that person also. If you can't forgive, then that's a challenge for you to work on until you can pray for that person and mean it. Then a big load is going to be lifted from you. Until you do that, you carry a nagging, aching feeling all the time. You can't even rest with it at night. You lay and toss and turn, and all kind of dreams come up. Your inner consciousness is trying to get through to your brain, but it can't get through because it's all clogged up with anger. It's one thing to talk about love and forgiving, but another to truly forgive. Break apart the word forgiving. Forgiving. Giving what? Giving love. This is why love and forgiveness are intertwined. There was another lady who used to sing off-key in that choir. There was a big service coming up, one where there was going to be a lot of guests, and people wished that she'd get sick or go on vacation and miss it. But she was always there, never missed a service. Then one day she died. They did miss her. Even with her off-key singing, in her own way she was expressing her love. They realised it then and they really missed her. They also found out that she used to get on her knees and pray for each member of the choir before entering the church auditorium. So it's not how beautiful or resonant your voice is. What matters is in your heart. the connection you have. That's what counts. Many years ago, there was a church in Oklahoma City whose deacon wouldn't allow 2 of our Indian with long hair to come in. I happened to know the pastor of that church, and I had a long session with him. I said, "What kind of hairdo did Paul have? What kind of short hair did Peter have? And what business is it of yours not to allow any person to come in here? I'm not speaking just because they happen to be Indians. Your church has a dress code. Where is it in the Bible that you must follow a dress code in order to worship God?" We had a wonderful talk, and he had a few tears in his eyes when I left. Some people have a tendency to make more of the rules and rituals than what is in their hearts, which is what really counts. When we pray, it's good to have a certain atmosphere, whether it's in a church, with a rosary, or in a sweat lodge. But it isn't necessary. We can pray at any time, anywhere. I knew many World War II veterans who became preachers after the war. They said, "We prayed under fire, surrounded by machine guns, mortars and cannons, with devastation everywhere. Whether you grew up in a church or not, sitting in a foxhole not knowing whether or not you would live to see the next day, you truly connect with your Creator." I heard one veteran preaching a Mother's Day sermon and talking about how mothers are a great part of our lives, no matter how old they are. He said many of his buddies were shot in the foxhole, and as they lay dying, the last word they said was "Mama." The thing that is our strongest connection in life comes out at the end. So praying is not only following rituals and doing it just right, it's how we feel inside, how our heart connects, and how we live. That's called walking the Spirit road. It's not just following a religion, but following the universal being of all creation, of all wisdom. If we know him, then we do our best because we have a belief system based on love. And even if we make a mistake, we can say, "I'm sorry," and he's ready to forgive. When we're afraid of doing something because of the consequences, we're turning religion into fear, not love. The words of Christ were, "I came that you might have life and live it abundantly." To live life abundantly is to feel free. Love heals. The power of love, if that love is secure and true, is the only force that can melt the human heart. Nuclear weapons can destroy people and have long-lasting effects, but love is what repairs and heals. No bomb can do that. It has to come from understanding and tolerance, and it has to come from forgiveness being channeled into the lives of other people, making them feel their worth and stimulating their potential. If you have a loss of love, animals come up to you. Even flowers seem to follow you as you walk by, recognizing and responding to love. Love is expandable. It can encompass this whole universe. It can heal.